Before neon signs, drive-thrus, and dollar menus, New York City ate differently. In the 1920s, food wasn't about convenience. It was about survival, memory, and making something meaningful out of very little. In cramped apartments and noisy streets, families cooked meals that wouldn't make it onto restaurant menus today, but kept generations alive. These were the foods Americans ate before fast food rewired the city. Humble, practical, and filled with quiet resilience. 1. Bread bowls. Stale bread never went to waste in 1920s New York. Families hollowed it out or tore it into chunks and poured hot soups or stews right over it, letting the bread soak up every drop. It turned a thin broth into a filling meal and made yesterday's loaf feel like something new. In kitchens where nothing was guaranteed, bread bowls were comfort you could count on. 2. Onion stew. When cupboards were bare, onions saved the day. Sliced thin and cooked slowly in water with salt and oil, they turned sweet and soft, filling the apartment with a smell that felt richer than the meal itself. Bread stirred in at the end thickened it into something warm and sustaining, proof that patience could replace money. 3. Sardine pasta. Canned sardines were cheap, shelf-stable, and packed with flavor. Tossed with pasta, oil, and garlic, one small can could feed an entire family. It tasted bold and satisfying, and for many immigrants, it echoed meals from coastal villages left behind. Strong flavors made small portions feel generous. 4. Boiled potatoes. Plain, unglamorous, and dependable, boiled potatoes showed up at the end of tough weeks. Salted and sometimes finished with a drizzle of oil, they weren't exciting, but they kept people standing, working, and moving forward. Potatoes were quiet heroes in the 1920s kitchen. 5. Coffee bread. Breakfast didn't come sizzling in a pan. Old bread was torn into bowls and soaked in coffee, milk, or sweetened water. It softened just enough to eat with a spoon and filled stomachs before long workdays. It wasn't indulgent. It was fuel, served fast, and without complaint. 6. Bean pots. Large pots of beans simmered slowly and lasted for days. Flavored with garlic, onion, or leftover tomato scraps, they became dinner night after night. Reheated, repurposed, or poured over bread, beans taught families how to stretch one effort across an entire week. 7. Fried scraps. Bits of leftover dough or batter never hit the trash. Dropped into hot oil, they puffed and browned into simple fried treats. No sugar, no glaze, just warmth, crunch, and a rare moment of joy. Sometimes morale mattered as much as nutrition. 8. Cabbage pans. Cheap and long-lasting, cabbage crossed cultures in New York's crowded neighborhoods. Cooked with oil, garlic, and sometimes vinegar, it filled plates when nothing else would. Influenced by neighbors and necessity, cabbage became a shared language of survival. 9. Eggs. Stretch eggs were precious, so they were stretched. 1 or 2 eggs scrambled with onions or peppers, divided among many, and served with plenty of bread. Everyone got a taste, and fairness mattered more than fullness. It was a lesson taught quietly at the table. 10. Meat drippings. Sunday meat left behind something valuable, the drippings. Saved carefully, they flavored pasta days later, turning plain noodles into something that tasted rich and remembered. It was a way to make one good meal echo through the week. 11. Street chickpeas. Pushcarts sold warm chickpeas tossed with oil and salt, handed over in paper cones. Cheap, filling, and eaten by hand, they were the working person's snack. They fueled walks home and tied neighborhoods together, 1 penny at a time. 12. Tomato dilution. When tomato sauce ran low, water filled the gap. Thinned and reheated, it covered more pasta than it should have. It wasn't Sunday sauce, but it still tasted like tomatoes, like effort, like getting through the week without giving up. 13. Rice oil. When even pasta felt expensive, rice took its place. Cooked simply in water and finished with oil and salt, it filled bellies when options ran out. Bland, yes, but dependable. Rice was there when little else was. 14. Bone broth. Butcher's bones became soup through time, not money. Simmered all day, they gave flavor to water, turning scraps into nourishment. With a potato or a handful of pasta added, it became a meal that warmed tired bodies and reminded families they were cared for. 15. Fruit water. Even fruit peels had purpose. Apple or orange skins simmered with water and a touch of sugar made a lightly sweet drink for children. It wasn't juice, but it felt like a treat. Love, stretched as far as it could go. Final thoughts. These foods weren't trendy. They weren't photographed or praised. But they built New York one pot and one plate at a time. They remind us that before fast food promised speed and ease, cooking was about patience, thrift, and care. If these forgotten meals made you see modern food differently, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to American Restored, where we keep these stories and the wisdom behind them alive.